Happy Historic Marker Monday, everybody. This is Michelle with Fun in Key West. And every Monday, we explore all of those historic markers that are around Key West. And today, we are exploring the Benjamin Curry House. What makes this house interesting and this stop interesting is this house has remained in the Curry family for well over 100 years. I could not find anything from property records or anything online that says that this house is no longer owned by the Curry family. So if you know something that I don't, please let me know. But this house is not only just a historic house, but it has those cast of quirky characters that we just love with all of these Key West stops. But there's also a tie to one of Key West's most famous authors, Ernest Hemingway. I bet you're going to be surprised about this. You're going to see Currys around Key West a lot. You have the Curry Mansion, and you're going to see that there's a lot of influence from the Curry family in Key West as you explore. William Curry was Florida's first millionaire, and that is Benjamin's brother. And William got his wealth from shipping and trade, and the Curry name became synonymous with Key West prosperity early on. And you can still, like I said, still see the influence around the island today. Benjamin Curry Jr., he buys a 1-acre parcel of land in 1855. And that is now at 610 Southern Street. He starts off just like a lot of the people who build homes and build up Key West. He starts off with a 1-room cottage in the back of the property. And as his family and his wealth grows, he expands out the home, and he then builds the 2-story main house with a deep front porch facing the street. And then later on, he connects the 2 structures in the back. As you explore the architecture of Key West, you're going to see that this is something that happens a lot. One structure is built, and then another larger one is constructed, and then they start to join them together. What's interesting about this home, and as I was doing my research, it still has its original doors, floors, windows, and framework, and it's still all intact. And the backyard has a 150-year-old cistern. That is so rare. You have one still, I think, over at where the Banyan Tree Resort is, but the cisterns are what was used to collect the rainwater to then provide fresh water for the home. There is also a double-door 4-seat outhouse, which is very rare to continue to survive today. And like I said earlier, I cannot find anything that says that the home has left the Curry family in over a century and a half. So this is a very unique property. Benjamin Curry's grandson is Curry Marino, and he is known as B. Curry Marino around Key West, and he is one of the original city engineers, and he is credited for designing the streets and the layouts of Key West as well as the sidewalks. So every time you stroll down Duval Street, you are wandering, or like I said, you walk down Duval Street or you wander around Old Town, you're literally walking on his legacy. That's what he created. In his personal life, though, in 1917, he marries Rosina Zerhost, and they had graduated from the university. He had graduated from the University of Georgia, and together they had one child, and that was Laura Betty Marino. And she's an artist and a historian, and her early career is part of, and she's credited for a lot of the Mallory Square renovation. And because of her vision that she saw with Mallory Square, that's how we are having our sunset celebrations today. When you come to Key West, you go out to, like we all do, we head out, we enjoy the sunset, and there's that sunset celebration at Mallory Square. And a lot of that is to her credit because of her restoration efforts that she did over there. She also founded the history department with the Monroe County Library System so that she could help preserve the history of Key West for future generations. Here's where it gets interesting. So back when Ernest and Pauline Hemingway made their move to Key West, they brought to Key West a friend of Pauline's in the family who was Toby Bruce. Toby Bruce is brought in to help with the newly purchased renovations of the home that the Hemingways bought over on Whitehead Street. He had grown up in Pauline's hometown, and he was still a very close friend of the Hemingways. Toby meets Betty. And they decide they fall in love, and he decides to stay in Key West. And he continues to have his lifelong friendship with the Hemingways. He goes on fishing trips with them, goes on travels, and they entertain together. And Toby becomes known as Hemingway's Man's Friday, a trusted assistant and confidant. And he also served as a pallbearer at Ernest Hemingway's funeral. Today, the Benjamin Curry home at 610 Southern is a living museum. It's not just a house, it's a timeline of Key West history, from the 19th century pioneers to the literary legends, and it reflects the life and times of Key West. It goes from prosperity and creativity and cultural evolution. And like I said, as far as I know, it's still in the Curry family. This is a private residence, so you cannot go in and see it, but it is at 610. You can take a note of the outside. I do find sometimes when the Old Historical Society pulls together home tours, this one sometimes is on the list. It's one of those things that it varies year to year of which homes are on the list. But if it is one of those homes on the list and you're in town, be sure to see if you can get a ticket for that. The Curry's family wealth, we know, because as you've seen a lot of the other Curry mansions, influence the architecture around Key West. And you can see how it moves forward with everything in how homes were built, how they were managed, the compounds that were being constructed. A lot of these homes, like I said, started off as very simple cottages, but started to expand and build out. And then as the Curry wealth grew, they started building with the larger homes to begin with. Like I said, the Outhouse is one of the last surviving ones in the Keys. I encourage you just to wander around and check out all of these historic markers. There's, like I said, so many stories behind these markers, and we love to connect the architecture and the history to what we see today in Key West. Let me know if you've had a chance to maybe be on one of those house tours to see the Curry home. Let me know. Put it down in the notes in the comments below, or just send me a DM and say, hey, Michelle, I was able to go in and it was amazing. I have not had an opportunity to explore the home, but one of these days, fingers crossed, I might be able to. I encourage you to head over to FunInKeyWest.com. Over there, you're going to find a lot more of these self-guided historic marker tours and information. I'm working on updating a lot of that information. But while you're over there, be sure to sign up for our book club. We recently just had another interview with one of our authors, and it was a lot of fun. People were able to ask questions and learn a little bit of the story behind the story. And we are working on another one that's going to come up in October of 2025. Also, check out the book club, like I said, and sign up for our happy hour list. Put you in the newsletter, get you in the know of what's happening in Key West and with Fun in Key West. With that, you guys have a great day. Thank you for stopping by and tuning in and hearing all about the Benjamin Curry house. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.